We are talking to the director, the drug czar, we should say, in Florida, or as it is called, the director of the Florida Office of Drug Control. Recently, Mr. Grant, you wrote an article in the Orlando Sentinel where you say, quote, "The case for medical marijuana is a wolf in sheep's clothing. The true agenda behind the rhetoric is full legalization. Smoking marijuana as a medical treatment empowers marijuana interest groups to achieve their ultimate goal of marketing this intoxicating substance to the entire population, sick or not." First of all, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Could you elaborate a little bit on this, about the case for medical marijuana as a wolf in sheep's clothing?
Certainly. My belief is that those who advocate the use of medical marijuana, their true agenda is to, in fact, legalize that substance. If you think about it for a minute, what you'll quickly come to the conclusion of is that if you can convince the public that medical marijuana is some sort of medicine and has properties that are curative or relieving of pain, but is something that is acceptable by folks who need it for medical conditions, then certainly the very easy next step is then to tell the public, and again, you assuming that the medical marijuana then has been okayed, as it has, as you know, in some places in the world and in the United States, in other states, then certainly the very next logical step is, well, see, it is okay for people who are sick to use it, so why is it not okay then for anyone else to use it? Because certainly if it can be used as medicine, then it can be no more harmful than alcohol or anything else. So very quickly you follow a logical progression of thoughts to say, it sounds like you should make marijuana legal. That's who are those people who advocate the use of medical marijuana, I believe, have as their agenda the fact that it needs to be legalized. And this is the interim step I think they believe is required to get full legalization on the agenda, so to speak.
Now, we are calling from Sweden, and in this part of the world, medical marijuana really is not an issue. Why do you think, or rather, what do you think made the American public to not realize that marijuana actually might not be the beneficial substance as the legalizers or the medical marijuana proponents claim it to be? How come, do you think, that sort of many people, at least in 14 states in the United States, bought into this?
Well, American people are very compassionate people. When they hear stories, and they do, that people who are in very dire straits medically, they are suffering from either cancer or in some cases HIV/AIDS, and are pretty much, in many cases, terminal in their prognosis. And those people report back that the only thing that has been able to stop my pain or allow me to have an appetite that allows me to feel halfway normal is the fact that, or is the ability to smoke marijuana and to use it, and it alleviates certain symptoms. Mm-hmm. Now, when people hear that, they, first of all, there's a natural compassion that all human beings have for others who are in pain or suffering. And no one wants to see another human being in suffering. And so when those anecdotes, those stories come back and they say, well, the only thing that helped me was to smoke marijuana, then certainly there is compassion there, on the behalf of any human being, and it is so here in Florida as well. So that's the first kind of step. And so then people will say, well, if that's the case, then we ought to make medical marijuana available for everyone who may need it. Well, as you know, medical authorities have not yet made a complete decision on medical marijuana, although, as you know, it's not approved by the United States Federal Food and Drug Administration, nor is it approved by our medical association. So no one will go out as far as to say that marijuana is in fact medicine. But everyone understands that people that use marijuana, because it is intoxicating and it does have the ability to make people feel better, of course, as does alcohol when used. So that's the problem that you have. So the proponents of medical marijuana would say this is good for people because it relieves their pain. Yet on the medical side of the house, there has been absolutely no concrete evidence to show that this is good medicine.
Now, the proponents of so-called medical marijuana, they are targeting Florida as well. We have understood so far we have had 14 states in the United States, and the last one, or latest one, maybe we should say, was New Jersey. What about the situation? What about the proponents of medical marijuana in Florida? What is happening in your state?
In our state, there has been a push for some time to get the issue of medical marijuana on the ballot so that people could vote on this. As you probably know, in our state, in order to get things on the ballot, you have to have a number of signatures on a petition. In other words, enough people have to petition the government to make it worthy of something that would come up on the ballot. So we do have a movement of people who are interested in making that happen. That has not gained a lot of traction, has not received a lot of support yet in Florida, but it is something that is always out there. And as people look at other states and other countries, they say, why not here? And they use the example that you cited in New Jersey, maybe even California, and others to say, if it's okay there, it should be okay here. And so then they seek to gain the ear of an elected representative as well. But so far in Florida, it has not gained traction. One of the reasons that I wanted to make sure that we were on the record and made our position pretty clear was so that those people would understand that this administration, this governor, and in fact, even at the national level, have remained very consistent in terms of what they think about marijuana and the legalization, and that is that they're opposed to it.
What about marijuana in Florida at the moment? Do you have a big problem with it? A lot of people using it, or is it, would you say, pretty much under control?
Well, I would say that there is always a problem with its use. We have a lot of people who use marijuana. We have surveys, particularly among our youth, that show a slight increase over the last year in marijuana use, which is particularly troubling to me, as the person charged with trying to reduce substance abuse in the state of Florida. And the reason I say it's very troubling is because when you go back within the questions on the survey, this survey is administered to our school-age children in our grades 6 through 12, and that is somewhere around 11 years old to about 18 years old students in school. When asked about their perception of harm with marijuana, in other words, do you, as a student, do you think this substance can be harmful? What we've seen over the last year is that the answer to that question is more and more students say, no, it is not. We do not perceive it as being harmful. Now, as you know, our youth get their messages from not only our media, but also from parents and people in authority. And so when these movements to legalize marijuana or, in fact, allow medical marijuana come up, the message it sends to society, to the people of Florida is, well, you know what, it must not be, marijuana, a very harmful drug. Otherwise, people wouldn't be talking about legalizing it or allowing its use or for people who have medical problems. Therefore, our youth, unfortunately, pick up on those messages, and that translates into their minds as, aha, this is not very harmful of a substance, so then you will see the use of it increase, which is, in fact, what our survey showed at the end of the year.
Okay. We thank you very much, Bruce Grant, who is the director of the Florida Office of Drug Control